Hey everybody, Renfail here. Hopefully you're enjoying Star Wars Outlaws as much as I did. During the stream today, someone asked the question, what's the number one tip you can give new players? And I was kind of had to think about that one for a minute. And then I was like, well, if you're just starting off and you're just getting going in the game, there actually is, I think, a really good starting point to understanding the factions system and the fact that each faction system has its own set of gear which has a set of bonuses on it that reflect the different types of play styles that you can have in the game. So you can go blasters, you can go melee, you can go stealth. There are a lot of different ways that you could go. There's also different types of like blaster styles if you prefer ion blasters versus like the rapid fire or the single fire. But there are different set bonuses associated with the different factions of the game, the different syndicates. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like in game so you can understand how to best maximize your time early on in the game. Now, again, this is not necessarily the only way to play. This is just my opinion when you're first getting started. So you're going to start off on the planet of Toshara, which is where we're standing right now. And on this planet, there's a crazy dust storm going on right now. But you're only going to have access to a handful of the factions in the early stages of the game. Because, as an example, the Hutts are on Tatooine, and the other one whose name I forget at the moment, the Ashigas. The Ashigas are on a different planet as well. So when you first start off, you're going to have access to the Pike Syndicate and the Crimson Dawn, essentially. And you're going to be going, well, which faction do I prefer? And if you listen to Julian and other people from Massive talk about this, you're meant to play the game in such a way that your factions are going to go up, your factions are going to go down, because you're going to do different things for different factions, which is going to sway these faction bars. So at the bottom, you're going to see, these different bars that represent different levels of faction. Um, and if at first glance you're going to be looking at these going, "Oh, okay, you're going to notice one thing here is that if we look at the Pike Syndicate, I'll get my big head out of the way because you won't be able to see this. There are these three little um, treasure chest icons. Those represent rewards that you get when you reach those levels of faction. And if you haven't reached those levels of faction, you don't necessarily get those. And you'll get different things at different times. Um, and this one, I've gotten all the rewards from the Hutt Cartel, all the rewards from the Shiga clan. I thought I'd gotten all the ones from the Crimson Dawn, but I may have missed one along the way. But the one thing you want to pay attention to is the faction gear. Now I'm currently wearing, if you go to my loadout, I am wearing the Crimson Rain faction set, which is the Crimson Rain. It's the Crimson Dawn faction armor. So every time you get max faction with a one of the factions, you're going to get a set of gear, as I mentioned earlier. So this is a stealth set of gear. Now I'm not actually wearing the look of it right now because you can customize it. So I've changed the appearance to something different. But what you're looking here is at the bonuses. Gain a large amount of adrenaline when performing stealth takedowns, increase ability to avoid detection. Stealth takedowns restore health, you get more grenades, and increased crouch movement speed and move more silently, and increased adrenaline from sneaking near hostile enemy patrols. And then I have an equipped bonus, which is enemies caught within smoke bombs now recharge stun shot, and hit an enemy with a stun shot resets the cooldown of smoke bomb. But this requires me to have good or better reputation with the Crimson Dawn for these to work. All right, so we're rambling a bit. Let's go back to the reputation. When you're in the reputation window, as you can see here, you can select one of these different factions. Go to the select button, and it's going to open up this window right here. What you're looking at is what you're looking for is at the top where it says rewards. You're going to hit the bumper and go over and see the rewards here. And this is going to show you the various rewards that you could get. Somehow I missed one of these rewards. Um, anyway, I don't know where. I might have to go find where that person was. Anyway, These are all the different things I get from the Crimson Dawn. I get this blaster skin, I get this reward, and then I get this armor set right here and a bandolier, or this satchel for Nyx. Now, all of the different factions have this, so you can go in here and look at what the gear set looks like and go, oh, I want that gear set. You can also see where the contract brokers are for this faction, and you can see whether or not they have any opportunities available and what planet those happen to be located on. You can also see the merchants available for that faction because they have different things that they can sell to you, standard stock and opportunities as well. And then you can select any of these to track those merchants down. So one of the first things I would suggest to new players is to go in here and look at the rewards track for each one of the factions in the game and decide what faction has the gear set that is most aligned with the style of gameplay that you think you're going to want to have. Now, that being said, remember how I said like the Hut Cartel comes a little later in the game because you have to wait till you get to Tatooine. So when you first get going, you're really only going to have the Pikes and the Crimson Dawn. But this will allow you to quickly focus and say, well, which one of these factions do I want to focus on first as you get going and get the first dozen or so hours underneath your game, because it is true that your factions are meant to do this as you go throughout the game, but you can focus fire, and we did this during the streams. Like, for example, when I wanted the Crimson Dawn set, I just only focused on broker missions for the Crimson Dawn because I wanted to maximize that faction as quickly as possible. And then, as an example, you can't even get into Jabba's palace to talk to Bib Fortuna as a broker until you have excellent faction. I don't have excellent faction anymore, and there's a reason for that. So I had to grind until I got excellent faction to be able to get into Jabba's palace to be able to get to Bib Fortuna in the first place as a merchant to give me missions and stuff. So what I did was then I just went to the contract broker list, and I just went and hunted down people who had Hut Cartel opportunities, and I just went and did those. Eventually, you can just do it from the ship and use your ship terminal, and then just get missions from anywhere. But this allowed me to very quickly, over the course of a few hours, max out my Hut faction and get all the way up to max rep to get the armor sets. Because remember, you do have to get the max rep, which means the bar has to be all the way over to the far right, like it is with the Ashiga clan. It has to be maxed out to get the armor set. When you get an armor set as a reward or any of the rewards, they send them directly to your ship, so you'll find them in the ship, so that you can quickly claim those rewards. So pick a faction to get their armor set, max it out, and you're good to go. Now, as an example with the Hut Cartel, my faction was maxed out, but then no spoilers here, but you're going to do some missions towards the end of the game where you're just trashing your Hut faction because of reasons. And so I've obviously come down from having max faction, but it didn't matter because I already got the rewards from that track, and I got all the armor sets from the Hut Cartel, which the Hut Cartel I didn't really care about, but just so you know, it's an melee set, sort of, but it also reduces your damage here, and something with like grenades, but it's called the Bunta Brawler gear is what it's called. Anyway, there's lots of different things to consider when you're looking at the different reps that you can get in the game, but that would be probably my number one tip for players getting going is pick a faction, max that faction, get their set gear, even if it's not something that you're going to use long term. The fact that you get bonuses from having an entire equipped set of gear is really worth it to help give yourself things like, oh, extra grenades or less damage taken or more adrenaline, things of that nature. All of those things are going to help you regardless of what style of gameplay you're choosing to run through with. Hopefully that helps. If it did, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams here and on Twitch, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in the next live stream and or on socials, everywhere we are. Hopefully you're enjoying the game. I sure did. I'm still playing. Can't wait to continue my Sabacc journey and beyond. Thanks so much, everyone, for your time. May the Force be with you. Cheers.